Are you ready to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully? Then let go of whatever no longer serves you to take action now on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Erica will energize and excite you to power up your passionate dream that sets your soul on fire. With Erica's E3 approach, equipping, empowering, and enlightening yourself so you can be yourself for yourself. Get ready and get rooted to live a life without regrets, without what ifs, without should haves, and especially without empty feelings from a life unexplored. This hit show helps you build powerful and intentional roots to live it up, love it up, and let it go. Get fearlessly ready and powerfully rooted in your yes with your host, Erica Gifford Mills, and be fearless about your more and stand in your yes. Now on Get Rooted Radio.
Welcome, everyone. I am Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go, right here on Transformation Talk Revolution. A shout out to my producer today, Jessica. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm so good. Thank you. Happy to be here.
And I'm happy for you to be here as well. Today's episode is a really deeply honest conversation that we're going to be having, and it's titled Brave Enough to Stay, Living Fully While Carrying Loss. My guest, Lisa Price, and I will share what it means to continue living after the death of a child. We'll explore the invisible work of grief, the courage required to stay present in a world that keeps moving, and how community transforms isolation into connection. This episode invites all of you listeners to release shame, reclaim your voice, and discover that love does not end when a life does. But a bit about my guest. Lisa Price is the founder and executive director of Bereaved Together, a Wisconsin-based nonprofit supporting mothers living after the death of a child. And I am honored to have known her and attended her wonderful events that she has put on. But after losing her daughter, Ari, to trisomy 13, if I'm going to say that right, in 2017, Lisa experienced firsthand the isolation and silence that often surrounded maternal grief. Determined to create the space she once needed, she found Bereaved Together to offer peer-led community, wellness gatherings, conferences, and remembrance events for bereaved mothers. Through her work, Lisa empowers women to find their grief voice, honor their children boldly, and live fully while carrying both love and loss. Thank you, Lisa, so much for what you do and for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Erica. This is truly a privilege and a gift. Anything that allows me to talk about, first of all, Ari, but also to just hold space for grief, because so often grief can be seen as this like divisive thing, but really it can be a huge bonding experience, because everyone will experience loss in their life of some sort, right? And so grief can be such a bonding or community piece that brings us together versus causing division. So I am grateful for this and for you.
Thank you so much. During this first segment, we're going to talk about when everything changes. But first, Lisa, tell me about Ari. Who was she and how did her life shape yours?
Oh, well, thank you, because it's a gift for me to be able to share Ari. Anytime I hear her name, I get full body goosebumps. I know as a bereaved mom, you know this too, that anytime someone says their child's name, we welcome that. Most of us, I would say 99% of bereaved parents want to hear their child's name, because it just reminds you that people aren't forgetting. But Ari is, and I say is, she is our daughter. She was our second born. And we, unfortunately, I was of advanced maternal age. So we went through testing and found out in utero that she had trisomy 13. So that is a genetic disorder where she has 3 of the 13th chromosome instead of 2, which, you know, the doctors share all these scary statistics with you. They say she probably won't make it through, you know, pregnancy, labor, delivery. So we set goals for her, and she is our brave warrior because she met all of those goals. She made it through pregnancy. My water broke naturally. She made it through labor, the whole process of labor. She got to meet her brother, her grandparents. she got to be loved on, and we even were able to bring her home to our family home before she passed away about 30 minutes after arriving at home. So she is my inspiration behind every single thing that I do now. She is the reason I parent my living son, Chase, the way that I do now. She is why I have met you, why I have met so many other amazing women. I wish it wasn't for the reason, but I know that her loss, but more importantly, her life continues on through the work that I do. And I take that with just it's such an honor and a sacred responsibility for me. And so she is our brave little lion. Her name means Lion of God. And that truly is what she is and who she is.
And I love that. And I want to go back to something you said. I'm saying this generically because not all people do feel this, but I know I agree with you. Sometimes people are afraid to say the deceased's name, right? Whether that is a child or a parent or a sibling. And, for me, I'm afraid that they're not going to say his name. And I never want, I was never going to be that mom who talked about her kid all the time. Oh, and from the moment he was born, I was that mom who talked about their kid all the time. And now I probably do it even more. But it's because
As you should.
I,
As you
I,
should.
I want his name to be known, his life to be known, because whether it was, 30 minutes, 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, their life mattered. And the, grief is just love with no place to go. And it hurts because we love them.
Right.
But what was that moment that grief became real for you?
It would be probably when we actually had to hand over her body. But I will say, I knew she was gone, right? Like we had her at home for a while. Everyone kind of said their goodbyes. I knew in my arms when she took her last breath. I even told the hospice team was over. My husband was like giving them like the whole story, and she was in my arms. I was sitting on the couch, and I was like, I think she's gone. So then the lady came over with her stethoscope and listened. She's like, no, I can still hear her, heartbeat. It's very faint and it's slowing down. I said, no, I know she's gone. And so even though I knew she was gone, it was literally the handing over of my baby to someone else. But the woman that we handed her over to had tears in her eyes, and you could tell that she was going to take care of our little girl. That was when I think grief finally hit, and I felt lifeless. As soon as she closed the door and took her, I fell. And that's when it became, I think, more physical. And that is something that people don't really often talk about with grief. It's starting to become something, but the physical aspects that it affects are real, are very real. Yeah. So it became almost like this invisible thing to then this visible, tangible.
No, I can empathize with that, right? Because every grief, right? Any loss is different for everybody. But for me, it was when he was brought home, Southwest Airlines. I love you to this day. You brought my boy home to me. But it was when they rolled him out in the flag draped coffin, and and then when we got him back to that was me, right? And my knees were going weak. And then of course when we got him to the funeral home, that I saw him, because I had not seen him in about, besides video calls, then it was real, right? Because before I knew it was real, I wasn't in denial, but physically my body was in denial, right? Because I was like, this isn't happening. It was, I got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. But then when he actually was home, when he was here, and then I saw him, that became the moment. And it is the physical. I got, sick to my stomach, my knee, everything, just that whole physical aspect.
Right.
And it's hard. I mean, and a lot of people misunderstand child loss. Through everything that you've done, what do people misunderstand most about child loss?
I think I would say it's probably one of the topics that people almost avoid. It's almost like people feel like it's contagious. So they don't bring up your child, or they don't know how to approach you. And this is primarily why I started Bereaved Together. And I mean, it started even before Bereaved Together. I became a life coach for bereaved moms because I felt so not only helpless myself, but like there wasn't support that was continuous.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, the immediate pastas, casseroles, flowers, cards, people dropping off things for a couple weeks. But then as soon as like the memorial's over, the funeral is over, I understand now more than I did back then that everybody gets back to their normal lives. The world keeps moving, ours frozen, it's shattered, right? But I think people forget that grief becomes a part of us. It's not all of us, but in that immediate loss, like it becomes everything. And it surrounds us, like it feels like there's a pillow over your face. You cannot see color, you cannot see shapes, you can't breathe. But slowly over time, as you start to find your supports, find your resources, your tools, your outlets that work for you, because everyone's grief is different. But most importantly, community, people who get it, who are walking that same path as you, that's when that almost like some light comes back, some focus comes back. You start to see, breathe a little bit lighter. It doesn't get easier, right? We all say that. It doesn't get easier, but we build those supportive tools, resources, the structures around us. We build our team of supporters and knowing, who's going to serve me best. And then also it's like a win-win for them because they're actually wanting to help us. But if we're not sharing what we need with the correct person, like I went to somebody who was not a listener at all. And it almost ruined our friendship. It caused a huge wedge for a long time because that's just not who she is. She's a doer. She's a person who's task oriented. So if I would have said, I need someone to shop for me, she would have done it, So like you said, it's love with like nowhere to go. But then I think we slowly, as we do that silent inner grief work ourselves, because we are responsible for our own grief, we can't really rely on other people. We need other people, but we can't really rely on solely for them to, make our choices in grief. But then we slowly can find like, okay, I don't, there is not a purpose. I never say that line, but we slowly find our way in this world,
Right.
carrying the grief, but also learning to live again.
And that's something we're going to talk about. We're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about that inner work of grief.
Yeah.
But before we go, Lisa, tell folks how they can connect with you, learn more about some events you have coming up.
The best way to probably, take a look at all our events is on social media. So Instagram is bereaved_together. On Facebook, it's Bereaved Together Inc. We have a website, bereavetogether.org. If you want to reach out to me personally, my Instagram is the_brave_mama, spelled MOMMA. And yeah, we have lots of workshops coming up. Our huge conference is coming up at the beginning of May that you're speaking at. And a Facebook community as well, a private social media Facebook group of over 750 bereaved parents.
Thank you so much. You're listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Tired of feeling exhausted as a parent? I would love to help you with a new vision for yourself that is focused on intentional wellness parenting. My name is Aurelie Cormier, and I have over 40 years experience with complex cancer patients. I offer consultations, coaching, and educational programs for parents who want to boost their health and reduce risk of disease, especially cancer. For more information, go to aureliecormier.com.
You're thinking your purpose in life? Become a certified hypnotherapist and regressionist today. Bryn Blankenship is a renowned certified master hypnotherapist, international instructor, and author. In addition to her own show, Afterlife Teacher, Soul Lessons Bringing You Full Circle, Bryn is a popular radio show guest who speaks about her soul expression spiritual regression, her transformative method for finding and following your soul's guidance. For more information on her hypnoregression and afterlife regression certification programs, visit brynblankenship.com.
Inside the Mind of Hiring with me, Dr. Mickey Feinberg, is a must-listen for hiring managers, HR pros, and job seekers. Tune in to Transformation Talk Radio, the first and third Tuesday at 11 to discover the psychology of making smarter hiring decisions that shape successful teams and organizations. Dr. Mickey and expert guests will disclose the full hiring journey. For more info, visit deltaconsultants.com.
Festa della Donna with Esther Graham honors all women far beyond a single day of celebration. Regardless of your race, gender, sexual orientation, or religion, Esther helps you rise to your full potential to live fully in God's plan and to do what you were divinely created to do. Festa della Donna offers programs that help you fulfill your dreams and desires. For more information and to get your free copy of the Festa della Donna Retreat Self-Care Guide, visit fdbwomen.com.
We're leading in boardrooms and living rooms, in startups and schools, on stages and in silence. The Lead, Live, and Love Like a Woman trilogy is a bold, unapologetic book series for women who are done waiting for permission. Hi, I'm Erica Gifford Mills, and I didn't create this trilogy to teach women how to lead, live, or love. We are already doing that. We need your voices. Apply now to become a co-author and share your story in this powerful movement. Visit balancesymmetry.com.
Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any portion of today's episode, you can catch it on getrootedradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe online to receive the latest news, events, specials, and words of encouragement. Go to getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Lisa Price. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well, thank you so much, Erica.
So during our first segment, we talked about when everything changes. And during this segment, we're going to talk about the inner work of grief. And that's a lot of work to be done, right? And I know that you often say grief requires brave internal work. What do you mean by that?
It means waking up and recommitting to yourself, because I think every day is different in grief, right? We never wake up the same. In the beginning, it's that, is this real? Like, you're waking up, how is this real? How is this my life? Slowly over time, like I said earlier, if you start to add, supports and tools and resources and find community, you move from that place of barely getting out of bed to being able to take a shower, being able to eat again, being able to, kind of reinsert yourself into community, and being a contributing member of society. So it's that constant reconfirmation of just reaffirming you're here for a purpose. This really shitty thing, sorry if I can't swear, bleep it. This really crappy thing happened. But we are not entitled, even to a healthy child. We are worthy of that, but that was never something that we are entitled to. But what can we do with that pain? It's always going to be there. So can we live our best lives, whatever that looks like? It doesn't mean you have to start a nonprofit or feed starving children in Africa or write a book. Can you get up out of bed, put one foot in front of the other, and slowly start to make peace with yourself that what happened was not your fault? You did everything you could with what you knew at the time, right? And being that type of person when the rest of the world kind of looks away from grief is really isolating and hard. But continuing to know that there are women out there that are cheering you on, and you will find them if you don't stop seeking, right? So continuing to be courageous and put yourself in the room, being courageous and continuing to have faith, have a belief that there are others out there that are walking a very similar journey, not the same story, but maybe something very similar. And that has been found in the rooms that I've gotten into, in the communities that I've been a part of, when I couldn't find it in the beginning. You know, it's something that I had to create. So just taking your child's life, no matter how short or long, and using that as inspiration to live your life. Yeah. I don't want you to live it in like for them, because I just think that's too much pressure. But just keeping in mind that, you know, they didn't get to live the life as long as we thought they were going to live. But can we then in turn do what we need to protect our heart, to expand our heart, our boundaries, right? And just being bold in the belief that this is what you deserve. Yeah. You deserve happiness, peace,
really important.
All of that.
Yeah. Something you said is we are a very grief adverse society. Mm-hmm. But when you find the right rooms, and you will, and everything that Lisa, that you're saying is absolutely correct. But listeners, know, we understand, and we both can say this, we understand that it's not easy as just get out of bed, just put one foot in front of the other. It might take you, right? If today all you did was breathe, if today all you did was take a shower, that's good. That's okay. It's understanding that it does take time, and there are no timelines. I had to learn that the hard way, because I think when I started into year 2 after Connor passed, and I'm just in year 2, but I was, why am I so upset now? Like, I feel like I'm more upset now. And I had to get myself out of the, why wasn't I this then? Right. And to let go of those timelines or expectations or anything. I can only, and you can't even control it. So I don't want to say I can only control my grief, because you can't control grief. Because the minute you try, the harder it is. But
right. She rears her ugly head.
yes. A smell, a song, a line from a movie, you name it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
all those little things are grief wins. That's what I call them. No matter how small you might think they are or insignificant, they're huge. When you are in this trauma, you know, you experience trauma, any of those little steps, that they matter. And then when you start to be more consistent and loving yourself through it like a best friend, like what would you do for a best friend? Treat yourself that way, right? So the more that you are consistent with those little things, they start to add up over time. And so it's time plus intention, right? It's not time heals. It's just, and it's taking the time with intention.
Allowing that space and grace, you said, that the self-compassion, you have to give yourself. Would you be so hard on a friend, on a sibling, on a whatever, insert, as you are on yourself? And that's some of that, that inner work. And, I don't know about you, but I was so mad at God. I was God, higher being, whatever you believe, but I was furious. I was like, I was going through cancer treatment. You had an opportunity to take me, and you take somebody better. I was furious. And, my brother-in-law is a deacon, and I had said, I'm pissed. Like, and he goes, and you have every right to be, that's okay. Which I wasn't expecting him to say. Right. And I was like, oh, right. He's like, you can have every right to be that.
Righteous anger.
Yeah. And so it is that fight between, the faith, and I think you called it faith and heartbreak, right? How do we even that out? But there is a lot of work that needs to be done, and you need to acknowledge that it's not going to all be wrapped up and tied up in a pretty little bow. It doesn't go away. Like you said, it does get easier. I don't want to be like people listening to this now and it's like, I just had a loss, and you say it never gets easier. What? Well, but it doesn't, right? But right. You learn how to go on with life day after day,
Yeah.
and like you said, put your best foot forward.
And you carry them with you. I feel like sometimes there's shame around that, like not that I experienced it, but I've seen, and obviously I've heard from so many of the women that are in our community of just how people have shamed them for posting on social media so much about their child. And it's like, this is an outlet for people. And as much as you talk about your living child, this is how we parent our children. They are no longer physically with us, but that doesn't mean they're not our child anymore. That doesn't mean the love is gone. If in fact, it's probably even deeper, this is why I love doing all these like podcasts and just, having the social media platform and this community is just for that awareness piece.
Yeah. And I get how people don't know what to say, right? When
We were
people
there, right?
yeah. Well, and when people pass, I still don't know what to say. Because I don't want to say something that's just sorry for your loss, sending condolences, because that seems so trivial, right? But I do mean that, and I do, but it is hard to rebuild your identity. And that's one thing I know. We got to go to a break soon, but that's one thing that I know I experienced. So, I mean, I didn't know what to say when I was going to get, see a new chiropractor, and I was writing down, they said, how many children do you have? And I was like, I froze because I didn't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so if I don't know how to answer that as the parent who lost a child, how do I expect other people to act? That was a little aha moment for me. I mean, I of course put down one because he is still mine and he is, but it took me a second. Right. So that was an aha moment on rebuilding my identity as a mother.
Yeah, it's that awareness piece of where am I at capacity wise? Do I have the capacity to talk to this, person who's bagging my groceries who just asked me how many kids I have? And if the answer is no, then, you can refrain from answering, or answer in whatever way, you feel like answering in the moment, but it's building that awareness piece of capacity, because capacity is so important, and, boundaries and boundaries are so healthy and a loving thing to do for yourself and for the people that you're putting those boundaries on. It actually protects relationships. So.
Oh, no, 100%. And I've done it before. Someone says, oh, how old is your son? And I'll just say, he's 25, he'll be 26 in September. And then, if I'm not up to talking about that and it's a stranger, right, I just leave it at that. And the people around me have learned, all right, like they try to sometimes go and change the subject. I'm like, no, you don't have to change the subject. Like I'll address what I need to address. And when I'm comfortable, or when I have, like, as you said, the emotional capacity, and that's why you set your boundaries. And that's all we can do is be true to ourselves and listen to ourselves when we need that protection. But let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about from isolation to movement. But before we go, Lisa, tell folks about your upcoming event in May and how they can connect with you and get tickets.
Awesome. So it's our 7th annual Bereaved Mother's Day Conference. It is called Brave Her 2026. Story in Bloom is the theme. It is on May 2nd and 3rd over International Bereaved Mother's Day weekend, which is always the weekend prior to traditional Mother's Day. The first day is more conference style, and it'll be in Waukesha at Fox River Christian Church North Campus. And then day 2 is more of a brunch setting, more creative activities. We still have speakers. We get to experience a sound bath and some story work session, writing in a journal and decorating our journals and everything. So, and making floral bouquets. And that is at Terrace 167 in Richfield, Wisconsin. And for more information, you can go to bereavetogether.org/BraveHer with an H 2026.
Perfect. And if you are thinking about coming into Wisconsin, or you are in Wisconsin, it's an event that is definitely worth going to. It is so compassionate. It is so... Nobody wants to be there. Let me just say this first. Nobody wants to be there for the reason we're there. But when you get there, you will be glad that you are there. So please go check it out. Thank you so much. I'm Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm Tristan. Astrologer and human design reader. I help unravel spiritual ideas to create change and growth in your life. Whether you are just beginning or need a knowledgeable best friend with the next phase of your journey, I'm here to help. Think of me as your pragmatic shaman bestie. I work with high vibe, lovely people like yourself in personalized sessions that will leave you with a sense of clarity that energizes you to make impactful change. Connect with me, your pragmatic shaman bestie, at musingsandmodalities.com.
Are you ready to put down that drink or drug for good? Are you struggling to maintain your recovery from addictive behaviors? Do you need help with a family member or loved one who's in early recovery or battling addiction? Get the help and guidance you need by arranging a recovery recharged phone session with me, Ellen Stewart, Pushy Broad from the Bronx, certified life and recovery coach. Call 1-800-889-1757. Make an appointment today or go to my website, pushybroadfromthebronx.com, and click on the link that says Recovery Recharged. Don't wait. Get the help you need today. This is Ellen Stewart, Pushy Broad from the Bronx on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Vicki Todd is a memoir artist and sculptor whose female nude figures have been featured in juried group and solo shows in New Mexico and beyond. She is also a playwright and performed a one-woman show called Shine, Happy Shine, and recently wrote a second play, Does This Make Me Delusional?, which she hopes will hit the stage in the near future. You can view Vicki's artwork and one-woman show at VickiWorldArt.com. That's VickiWorldArt.com.
Do you want to become a host? Start your own podcast to inspire, persuade, and influence others on what you're passionate about? At the Transformation Network, we can help make your talk radio dreams happen. Let's take your hopes, dreams, and passions and put them on air today. Email us at host@transformationtalkradio.com to learn more about becoming a host of your very own show.
We're back on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Don't forget to visit getrootedradio.com to listen to a replay of this episode, sign up for helpful tips, and learn about upcoming events. That's getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Lisa Price. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Erica. It's an honor.
During the last segments, we discussed when everything changes and the inner work of grief. During this segment, we're going to discuss from isolation to movement. And Lisa, you didn't stay still for long. And you, as I said, you're the CEO and founder of Bereave Together. So when did that begin?
That actually began in 2022 as a nonprofit, but I like to say it started back in 2019 when I became a life coach. So I got certified as a life coach with like a training in bereavement support. And I'm a dance teacher by career. I still teach dance. I've danced since I was 8 years old. And movement was a huge gift. I went back to work 10 days after Ari died. Obviously, it wasn't easy stepping into a studio where there's tons of little girls like that. Just, it hurts. And that is part of like my identity that I really had to I struggled with for a while, but I did have that movement piece, and music and breath was just something that I found was so supportive. And so I wanted to bring that more into the alternative healing modalities instead of just talk therapy. So I worked with the bereavement coordinator at Children's, just kind of under her wing. I did some volunteering there. I created 2 resource guidebooks that are now on Amazon. And it talks about the physical aspects of grief. And, if you're somebody who hasn't moved as like a habit prior to grief, it's going to be harder, but it is something that is so pertinent to your healing, I believe, to make it don't want to say last, but the longevity or the consistency of finding your way has to involve a bunch of, the emotional side, the mental side, the spiritual, the physical. And so movement was a huge part of an online course that I offered for my coaching clients. And now, as part of the nonprofit, we offer monthly gatherings the last Monday of every month in Milwaukee. And now we just started a chapter in Madison this year as well. So there's 2 monthly events that happen where moms get together. We share our stories, we introduce ourselves. That always brings up the raw emotions to the surface, no matter how long your grief has, been a part of your life. And then we move our bodies. So whether it's yoga, paddleboard yoga, we're going to do in the summer. We've done boxing, kickboxing, Dance for Release and Renewal is next week, Monday in Madison. So it's just all different varieties of movement to help give the emotional energy of grief an outlet and to kind of shift it around. Because so often in grief, I think you feel stuck, right? And so by physically moving your body, you're telling your brain that you're not stuck. And so it's like a little trick that you do. And just by maybe doing some wall push-ups or some squats or jogging in place or, going outside for a quick brisk 5-minute walk can literally change the trajectory of that day or that moment,
Those
if we're thinking
endorphins.
smaller. Oh yes.
Yeah, those endorphins,
they're
right?
huge.
Which of course throws me back to Legally Blonde, happy people just don't kill each other. No, it's
Right.
those endorphins, it helps you get, out of your head too for a little bit because you're thinking about something else. So
we even find like ourselves laughing, which you're allowed to laugh, by the way, and especially in this safe space, you don't have to explain that you're still grieving, even though you just laughed or, cracked a joke or whatever. But in our last Brave Moves, we were all skipping in place and just looking around, like everybody was smiling, like just the natural hop step, just kind of, you can't stay in that like deep heaviness when you're skipping. Like it's just kind of a hard thing to do.
Well, especially if you haven't skipped in a long time, then you kind of got to think about how do you skip again? No. So why peer-led support? Why does that matter so much?
I think the relatability. So often I've heard from women when I was coaching, especially, that they would go to therapists, and therapy's great. Like talk therapy, it has its place. But from several women, and myself included, finding a therapist who didn't just do the clinical checklist, word for word from the book was hard to find. And obviously some insurance companies only cover so much. And so you're spending this astronomical amount for your first meeting with them, and it's not a match. So then you have to go to the next person, then you go to the next person. So I just found, coaching women, it was almost like a sisterhood, right? Because that trust is there. You're walking this and maybe you're, even one step ahead of me and you're not crumbling. How can I get to that point? Or, I mean, that's where I started too, is like our first remembrance ceremony that we went to was in the fall. Ari died in April. And so it was in like October. And I saw a woman standing up there talking, and she had lost her young daughter. And so I went up to the bereavement coordinator. I said, I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. Like, I want to be able to talk without bawling my eyes out, and I want to help people with my story. And so she was like, slow down, like your grief is really raw, but come into my office. And that's where that all kind of like snowballed. So it's not something that I had this like big picture of, okay, this is what it's going to look like. It just slowly over time has morphed into the beautiful community that it is, just from the trust and being courageous and stepping into this new role as a bereaved mom.
And I think that's so important. I mean, you think about it, we naturally tend to gather in people who have like experiences. And like the military community, they feel more comfortable speaking with somebody who's been in the military, who's seen different things that they've seen when it's talk about coaching, therapy, all that. It's the same thing here, right? We feel more comfortable because even though everybody's grief's different, everybody's journey's different, you know that they've gone through something as well. And, tell us how, and I've brought it up a couple times on the big conference that we have, the Brave Her, but how was Brave Her born? And then this year you said the theme is Story in Bloom. Why that theme this year?
So Brave Her was born out of me searching back in, I think it was 2019. I found out about International Bereaved Mother's Day. Well, first of all, I found out about being a bereaved mom. I had no idea what a bereaved mom was until I became one, because there really is no word for a mom who's lost a child other than bereaved. And so I couldn't find anything, and I love event planning. I did my whole entire wedding. Like I love community. I love family together. I love planning big things like that. And so when I couldn't find anything, I was like, all right, I'm going to do it myself, and I'm going to build this and use my coaching client, experience and try to build more community here in Milwaukee. And COVID hit. So for the first 2 years, it was virtual, but we had, Zoom breakout rooms and all sorts of, different speakers, wellness facilitators, because I didn't want just speakers. I wanted to bring the movement piece in, the breath work, the sound bath, all of that, the creative side. We had a grief artist. So for 2 years, it was about 25, and then maybe it jumped to like 45 the next year. And then the year after, COVID was our first in-person event in Milwaukee, and about 100 moms showed up. And it was something that I didn't want to stop. So now we're in our 7th year, and Story in Bloom really came, if I'm being honest, from seeing like a beautiful backdrop of like books that somebody built, and it was like in the wind. And I was like, oh, that looks so pretty. And I was like, like story, like our story's not over, like so often we feel like when our child dies, like obviously a part of us died too, but also part of their story lives on in us because we are still here. And so then the whole blooming and like roots, the root part of grief is love. If love didn't happen first, there would be no grief, right? And so going all the way down from the roots to the bloom, your story is still in the works. It is not over. And even if it's one word at a time, we are still writing our story and in turn sharing theirs.
And that's how we build their legacy, right? It doesn't have to be done, and their life meant and means so much to everybody that any child touched, because they're so innocent, right? I don't care if they were 3 years old, right, 2 days old. Yeah. They're so innocent, and they touch our lives no matter how long they were with us. Right. And that, I think that Story in Bloom is beautiful. And of course, thank you. I love, anything rooted to do with shrubs and trees, and, because I think it is, it's all, everything is interconnected. It is. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to finish out today's show with living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. This is Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you feeling stuck, drained, or disconnected from your true self? Join Manon Deverich and Dr. Pat on Aligned Energy, where ancient wisdom meets modern health and wellness. Tune in every second Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Discover how energy awareness and alignment can help you reclaim your power, vitality, and purpose. For more information, visit AlignedEnergyHealing.com and start your journey today.
Erica Gifford Mills has written the book that is about to change your life. If you yearn to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully, and to finally let go of whatever no longer serves you, then Erica's book, The Rooted Life, Live, Love, Let Go, is for you. Readers will learn about how their values affect every aspect of their lives, why self-care and self-love is a critical first step to stopping limiting beliefs and negative thoughts in in their tracks. The Rooted Life, Live, Love, Let Go teaches readers who are ready to unlearn unhealthy patterns to set, communicate, and keep their boundaries, to live with passion on purpose, and to create goals with the intention of putting them into action. Once you pick up your own copy along with the companion workbook, you'll be one step closer to being fully equipped, empowered, and enlightened on your path to be yourself for yourself. If you're ready to plant powerful and intentional roots to live it up, love it up, and let it go, visit GetRootedRadio.com.
Have you ever faced a situation where you weren't quite sure how to handle it with poise, confidence, and grace? Of course you have. We all have. Well, tune in to the Change Mastery Show with me, John J. Murphy. Together, my co-host, Dr. Pat, and I will introduce you to a different way to think about change. Not as something to fear or resist, but as a gift. Join us the second Wednesday of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Subscribe, share, and start your journey to mastery at johnjmurphy.org.
Do you want to better understand and embrace neurodiversity? I'm Dr. Lori Noto, with over 30 years of experience working with diverse and unique individuals. Through my consulting and purpose-driven life coaching, I focus on empowering individuals with disabilities. My passion is advocacy, providing the tools for neurodiverse individuals to thrive and feel included in classrooms, workplaces, and communities. Unlock the potential of possibility, power, and purpose. Connect with me today at notoholisticconsulting.com.
Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any of the information during the last segments, you can go to getrootedradio.com to listen to the replay. Don't forget to subscribe, sign up for tips, special events, and pricing for upcoming coaching and speaking sessions at getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Lisa Price. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well, I so appreciate this, Erica.
Well, I am honored to have met you. I know we would have wished to meet under different circumstances, but tell folks how they can reach out to you, learn more information about Bereave Together, about the Brave Her 2026, and just follow you, because it is definitely worth following.
Well, thank you. On social media, we're on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is bereaved_together. Facebook is Bereaved Together Inc. We're also on LinkedIn, but don't post as much on there, but we're still there. That's more for like corporate side of things, right? And anybody who wants to support our organization. Bereavetogether.org is our website, and we have an events tab on there. We have a blog. We even have a guest blog. If you want to share your story, we would love to share your story on our website. We also have a private Facebook group that eventually will be moving off of social media. We're working with somebody at Marquette University to have like an online program again and offer it off of social media. So that'll be in the works in fall. But that Bereaved Together Facebook group, you can also find on our webpage. So
great. So during the last few segments, we've discussed when everything changed, the inner work of grief, and from isolation to movement. And during this last segment, we're going to discuss living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. And, aptly named, of course, because of Get Rooted Radio. However, we forget that sometimes we're still living, and we do need to sometimes let go and learn how to love ourselves and live fully. So what does living fully look like after a child loss?
Question. I do feel like, obviously, it doesn't mean moving on. And I think a lot of us get offended when people say, haven't you moved on yet? No. No.
Oh, yes, I've heard that. And I've almost lost my
faith. Sucker punch someone, right?
Yes.
No. But it means learning how to live with and allowing for the both and. It's not one or the other. It's not the grief or joy. It's being able to love yourself enough to experience both. To live with the love, to live with the grief, with the missing, with the messy, because this world, it is beautiful and it's messy. One of my coaching clients once said, the coming to the conference, it was beautifully painful, but painfully beautiful. And I love that. And I'm like, is that okay if I use that? Because I've used it several times just because it gave me full body goosebumps when I heard her say that, because it means allowing moments of joy without feeling like you're betraying your child, and that's such a common thing. There's no stages of grief. I think there's different aspects. And I think with an aspect, there's like little offshoots of other emotions that you experience. So it's a roller coaster, but being brave and choosing to stay, even when it's hard, stay in the living that you're doing, stay in community, stay with yourself. Because living fully, I think for me, is saying Ari's life mattered. And because of that, mine still does too.
Yep. And that's folks, we know that's hard. I mean, I just got back from Thailand about 2 weeks ago. And it wasn't until I was there that I really understood that joy and grief could coexist. And I don't know truly what it was, except for there were so many signs that Connor was there with me. And like from this little Thai girl who came running up to me and said, "My name is Connie." Okay, Connie is not a Thai name. Connie is not a common name at all in Thailand. And I was like, wow. And just so many other little things. And it was right before that I was feeling guilty because anytime I do something new, the first thing I want to do is text him and say, "Look at what I'm doing. Can you believe this? It was on my bucket list." And then you feel guilty because you can't, because they're not here. And who do I think I am to enjoy myself when he's gone? And that was hard, right? That feeling of how am I continuing on with my life? But it was when I was there that I just had this moment that, no, if I didn't continue to live my life, he'd be pissed. He'd be mad. And he'd be wondering, why? Why are you wasting this opportunity? And that's when it did hit me that, hey, there's all these signs that he's still here with me. I can be joyful and I can still feel sad of his loss, but that doesn't mean I stopped living. And I think that moment was very powerful for me. And it took me a while to get there. And I still have, it's not that I still don't have those moments. There are still things that, or I have people saying, "Oh, it looks like you're doing pretty well, since your son passed." And I ignore those people. I don't even give them light or allow them in my sphere, because
time is precious. Yes.
And that
Your
is the other
energy.
thing, folks. You don't start, and this is something I will be talking about at Brave Her, is you don't get less kind after you've lost somebody. You just realize you're not going to put up with the same kind of BS that maybe you did, and your boundaries have changed. And you start being like, no, not going to put up with that, because time is precious. And we've learned that the hard way. And it's not that we're unkind or mean or we've changed. We have changed. Don't get me wrong. We have changed, but we are setting those boundaries and we are sticking with them, because we need to love ourselves, and we need to love ourselves first. And then that shows other people how we need and deserve to be loved as well.
Right. Yeah. You're mirroring what you want how you want people to treat you.
Yes.
For sure.
So what would you say to a listener who's out there who feels stuck or alone?
It's so hard to hear this, I think, because your brain is telling you that you are stuck, that you are alone. But please know that you are not the only one that's feeling this way, even if it feels like you are, right? And you don't have to carry this alone. There are spaces, there are people, there are women who will sit with you and not try to fix you or rationalize what happened to you or what happened to your child. No platitudes, right? They won't tell you that there's a silver lining.
There's a reason for everything. No.
All
we'll
of
just
those.
sit
No.
with you. We will sit with you.
Right.
And sometimes that's all we need. And you mentioned it earlier, is that, you do also need to know your network, because there are friends who are doers, right? They have to do something and they don't know how to just sit with you, not ask me questions, just sit there. And if I decide I want to talk, then I'm going to talk. And you do need to know your friends that way.
Oh yeah.
But until you go through something like this, you don't know, right? Because you don't know. I don't know how I would have liked to act to some of my friends who've lost children before I did, but I didn't know because I wasn't there.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's so true.
So I know we are rounding out the show, and we could continue to talk all day. I know we could, but I want to say one last thing before we leave today is, what does being brave truly mean in everyday life?
I said it, I think, a little bit earlier, that I think being brave means staying in your life, staying in your body, staying connected, even when it would be easier to shut down or isolate yourself and close the door on everyone. It's choosing to love deeply, even after loss, right? Allowing yourself to be loved deeply after loss, because that's kind of the courage that no one sees, but it means everything. It means everything.
Thank you, Lisa, for being on the show today.
Oh, Erica, thank you. It was such a privilege. I loved it. Thank you.
And I want to thank you all for tuning in to Get Rooted Radio. If you missed any part of today's episode or want to listen again, go to getrootedradio.com for the podcast. And don't forget to tune in the first and third Monday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on Transformation Talk Revolution. And as we close out today's episode, I want to remind you that you are worthy. If you are hurting or need help, please know the world needs you, and it's a better place with you in it. Don't let the hard days win. Reach out for assistance. You can call or text or chat the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or text HOME, HOME, to 741-741 to reach a trained crisis counselor. Both are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and are free. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to the next time on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Visit getrootedradio.com if you've missed any part of this hit show, and tune in on transformationtalkradio.com to live fearlessly in your more and powerfully rooted in your unlimited yes. For more information and to work with Erica directly, visit getrootedradio.com. That's getrootedradio.com, and get ready to live it up, love it up, and let it go.